Our subject this round of my watercolor class and my drawing class is faces. And the image that we had picked to draw is pretty much a straight on view. But before we paint, I want to do a lesson on drawing faces. And so this lesson is going to be shared with both my painting class and my drawing class. I'm going to go ahead and dive in and show you several different ways of approaching drawing it. But it's very important to do a drawing before you start painting if you want to have any semblance of reality to the picture. If we're just wanting to dive in and doing something fairly abstract, then there's no need to draw ahead. But if you want it relatively realistic, then drawing ahead gives you an opportunity to really look at that face and decide what it looks like, what makes it happen, you know, what are the little idiosyncrasies that make that person look like who they are. There are so many ways to approach drawing a face, but I want to start with a little warm-up exercise. When I draw faces, I like to do some contour drawings, and when I do contour drawings, I'm not just doing the outside of the face. I actually want to do contours of what's inside the face, but I like starting with the eyebrows and down into the nose and work my way around the nose, and then how do the eyes work in that? How does this other eyebrow work? And then where does the mouth fit with all of that? And then start building the rest of the face on there. When I do a contour drawing, I'm going to show you some other methods of approaching this, but I want you to start with sort of that warm-up of the contour drawing because it's a good way to look and sort of see what those features are and how they work together. But this eyebrow to nose and then getting the eyes in there is a very important first step. So I'm going to pull this out of the way a little. Okay, so I'm going to start with it doesn't matter which one of these eyebrows. So I just sort of want to sort of show you. So I'm going to work my way down that eyebrow and then down the shadow of the face on his nose and find its way around there on the nose, find this little nostril part of the nose, find the other small nostril. He's not quite straight on, so one side of the face is actually a little bit different shape than the other. So we're just going down that highlight on the side of his nose. And then I'm finding the other eyebrow, and it's going to come around and find the back side of this eye, and then across the top of the eye. Yeah, and then down here and find this little extra bit. Come in there, a little extra bit there, come down, find some of the wrinkles underneath of his eyes, find these wrinkles, and then this could take me down and around the shape of his face. And I'm going to come in and find his mustache, which is then going to bring me up. I'm just sort of looking this to see if I'm about the right place to come across for his mouth. Top of the mouth, the bottom of the lip, and then work my way back into the mustache just a little bit, work the mustache up and under the nose, down this other side, and maybe it comes across there a little bit more, and then it works up through a smile line around the nose there. Okay, then back down, find the rest of this. I can find some of his chin. I'm not lifting my pencil up, even though occasionally I am backtracking. And then that's going to come up into here. It's got some hair running through here, hair that comes down into there, back into the wrinkles for the eye. Just wrinkles, and then let's go up and over that eye. And around the eye, there's a little small bit in there, and center of the eye, this comes in a little more wrinkles around those eyes a little bit more, and maybe a bit more on this, and find this ear, and then find that hat. And let's go back up, see that this hat comes across through here and dies off into there, goes up into there, and we could even do some more of the wrinkles across the top of his head if we want to. And let's find this other eyeball. Okay. So it doesn't look exactly like him, but it has some of that feeling of what he's about. And I like this as a way to sort of introduce myself to who that person is. So I'm going to give you guys 3 or 4 face-on images and have you do one of those contour drawings. I spent maybe 5 minutes on that. Don't want to spend much more time than that. I want to just sort of find a spot, keep moving, but find spaces. And I see there was probably another piece of the, I'm not going to put it in now, but there is another side to his mouth here that I could have picked up as well. So I picked up all the hard edges on his face and where the hard edges are to show the shapes and contours of his face. So we've missed a few pieces here and there, but that doesn't matter. The important thing is that we got the gesture of that center part of that face. Now, my next thing that I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to give a different face before we work on this a little bit more, I want to talk about the sort of the way the face is put together. And I'm going to use this image because he doesn't have any hair. He does not wearing a hat. And so I can really see his head shape. So there's several ways that you can approach doing a face. You can start it like I did with this, and start it with, you know, this is the eyes across through here. He's got a chin down here somewhere, and there is a triangle that runs down through this, and then his eyes are going to be through that line. So the eyes are going to come in there. His eyebrows are going to come above that. His eyes are going to be in here somewhere. So eyes have a socket that they're fitting in. So the eyeball itself is only part of what you need to see. The rest of what you need to see is the rest of this socket and how that eye socket works. And so I'm going to just go ahead and put in some of his shadow stuff, and he actually comes in here a little bit smaller. And then within this triangle, it's about, is that half? No, it's thirds. So if we break this into about thirds, his nose is going to come out into here. And once again, he's not directly straight on. It goes a little bit off to one side. And then his mouth is going to come out to the width of that triangle. And actually, it needs to come up just a little bit more, looking at it there. And his mouth is open, so that makes a difference too. So it's going to be fairly narrow in through there. And then his face comes out here. And this is where the chin is. So the face is out into there. This side of the face is narrower than that side, so I actually don't want this quite as far as I've got it. It's more like that. And then his ear. Notice that his ear comes off just right at his eyes, and the bottom of it's down here at his mouth. And if I were to draw a line through this, it would curve very slightly through here. And then it's going to be a little bit wider on this side than that side. So this is actually going to come back here even a little bit wider there. Okay. His ears are going to fit into this, and his head comes up into that. And I didn't give myself enough space to get the top of his head in here. Shame on me. Because that's the other thing I wanted to point out to you, was that in this shape, if you measure here to there and then from here to here, it's about halfway. So if I put my contour line on here, so if I put this, let's run this right through the eyes. So if I run this through the eyes and put this right between the nose, run that through the eyes, and we're going to be almost through the middle of the nose here, but notice that, so this is one space, that's one space, and it's a little bit more on his chin because his mouth is open than it is up above, but it's close. The eyes are almost halfway in that. So if I had this oval shape here, let's just, rather than starting at the face, so if I had this oval shape, his eyes are going to be about halfway through here. His nose is not in the very center, it's off a little bit to one side. And let's just pull this over here so you can actually see that diagram on there. Get that back. So this is running through his eyes and at the center of his nose. Through his eyes and through the center of his nose. And let me put it the same way I've got drawing. Hopefully you can actually see that as well. I'm going to pull this down just a little bit, so hopefully you see that. So you can see, compared to this straight line, that this actually curves just a little bit, and same with the face this way, because it's a round object. And so this line, if you were to run it through here, is going to run through like that. Then the nose, remember we're identifying where that nose and eyebrows are first. And then the nose comes down. We need it to go, the bottom of that lip is a little more than halfway, and then the nose is about halfway through that. So then our nose is in here, and it's a little less of it is visible on this side than on that side. So it's a little bigger over there. Nose comes out, and then his mouth and because it's open a little bit more down toward the bottom of it, it's a little bigger line to the bottom, and his teeth come across through in there. And his lip is not very big on top, and it's not huge on the bottom either. And then his chin is there. He has smile lines. Take that out a little bit further there. Smile lines that come out into here. Smile lines that come not right at the back of his mouth, but out a little bit. Actually comes out, and it's almost like a little square there. Round it off. His face is a little bit narrower there and comes out on his cheeks. His ears come off right at his eyes. This ear actually comes into his head just a little bit, but it also is that line that goes through the eyes. So it's down here just a little bit more. And then his neck comes off of there, that head comes up, and this feels like his head needs to go even just a hair higher. Then I can put in his eyes. So his eyes are fitting in this socket, and he really has very deep eyes, so you can really clearly see these eye pockets and how they form part of his eye shape. So then there's some skin here, and then the eye comes off into there, and then it goes up. It's got a little narrow point right at the middle, or at the inward edge of that. And same with this one. He's got a lot of skin underneath of there. His eyes come up on there. And these teeth, you don't want to overdo teeth. There's larger ones at the front, they get smaller, and then as they go into the back there's actually a dark space at that back. And it's a little darker in here. And then his other teeth are just sort of visible, but not as light as the ones up above. A little dark line here. And then shadowing on the face, light and dark. This is not quite, this ear needs to come back over here just a little further. Not giving that quite enough. Oh, that's better. That's better. without pupils there. His eyes look just pretty icky, don't they? And then do they close in here just a little bit more? And then his eyebrows are quite thick, so they're coming down here a bit more. And this nose flares out a little more. And so we can look at triangles on the face. We can look at cross lines on the face to sort of place where things are, but we also want relationships of ears to mouth and teeth. We want how far apart the eyes are, and we can use the eyes as a measuring device in here to tell us about how big certain things are. But once we get the eyes placed and the bottom of the mouth placed, then we can divide up between the mouth and the nose. So those are some things to do when you're doing a sort of a rough drawing of this. So our next thing on this is that I'm going to give you guys a good half an hour. We're going to look at both of these two faces. I'll give you some time on this face, and if we've got time, we will do the face that we're going to actually do for the painting to do up a more complete drawing. And the other half, so you're going to do a complete drawing up to this point. And then I will come back and I will show you shading. Okay, so our drawing here, I now want to look at where my light and dark patterns are on this. And I didn't get that. I didn't get his shoulder put in here. We've got a collar coming down, shoulders coming in. All right, so he has a lot of shadowing inside his eye sockets. It's a little lighter underneath of there, but then it gets dark again right under that. He's going to have some light just in the eyes. He has a little shadowing that runs right across through here, and there's more shadowing on this side of the face, just a little bit more than the other side. And we have to get, oh, where did my eraser go? Here it is. I needed to remove a little bit of this and move that ear over because he didn't have enough room for that ear. This needs to come over. That ear comes out further. His head comes over. And then he's got a little more head back in there. That's starting to look a little bit better. And now this eye, remember this was a little bit of a curve here, so the eyes actually slant down slightly with that curve. So now we're going to find the edge of that nose as we do this, the edge of this nose. And also that side of the nose is just a little bit shaded. This is going to give us a better idea of how we're going to deal with this. And his eyebrows actually turn and come down a little bit there. Once again, that feels like that head needed to go just a little bigger there. His ears are a little bigger at the top. And oh, that's got to come down all the way to the, you know, it starts just a little lower there. There we go. And then comes down just about to the mouth there. It's darker in that part. He's got some, and then he's got darkness around this smile area. Dark up into that nostril. Dark on this bottom side, and down in here is a little darker in there. Darker back in this area. And his teeth is quite dark in these corners, and finding that dark corner in there is going to help those teeth look like they're not quite so, fake. And his smile can go just a little further. Okay. I might have gotten that a little too dark too fast there. Shame on me. And this is the thing that when you start doing this part of it, you might find you need to adjust things. Maybe we didn't get it quite right in the right place. And I'm going to do another drawing that's going to be the full size for my painting before I actually start doing my painting. So this is still just a preliminary drawing. And that can lighten out a little bit, take that off of there. Now, the fun thing what I did here is that I have a water-soluble pencil, and so I'm going to look at what it looks like putting some water on here to shape those spaces. So I haven't really used this before, so this is going to be new for me too. So let's see what happens when we put just a little water on here. And that needs to come out there just a little bit further. And just sort of this blending and seeing what happens as we find these shapes. That chin almost goes into that neck without, and it comes out here a little bit further. Yeah, that's better when that does that. And the end of his nose just a little bit, get that nice and dark into there. And just sort of soften that with those teeth. They're there, but we don't want to have them just screaming at us. And I didn't get that really dark there for his eyes. He has really dark eyes, so let's just darken those in just a little bit. And I can come back with this pencil with this wet and put a little bit more on there to give me that sense of those being darker. And then that's, whoops, we want that a little softer than that. Where is my rag? So I'm just doing this on drawing paper, so it's not going to be as nice as if I was doing it on watercolor paper. But at least this gives us a sense. And that's a clean across there. This is graded. It's going to go darker underneath of his chin here. And let's just get his pupils in there a little bit darker. Okay, I think I should stop on this. Let's go a little bit darker with his lip across here, sort of pulling across those teeth. Ah, that helps to pull that down just a tiny bit. And we'll put just a wee bit there. Okay. So we've done a contour drawing, we've done a rough drawing to just sort of place where everything is, look at it with triangles, look at it with straight lines through a center line and a line through the eyes and then a line through the mouth and the nose. I'm going to have you play with each of those. We can talk about them. And that will take you the full 2 hours to play with that. So I'll be doing the same thing with this other face. I'm actually going to have both of these on the video so that if we want to choose and use a different one, we could. This is the one that we were planning on doing the painting of, but we might change our minds. So talk to